Good afternoon, everybody. This is Rick Hogue with United Real Estate Infinity, and I wanted to do a little video on preparing yourself for an open house. And it's actually an 8-day program in order to do an open house the correct way. And I'm not saying that it's going to work on every single house because you get into a situation where you're in a condo and you're on the 7th floor and you're not going to be going to the houses behind it or the houses in front of it. You are not going to be able to see anybody in that building because most of them have a no solicitation rule on them. However, one of the things that you want to do is plan your entire week around that open house. And you have to make sure that when you get that open house scheduled, that the listing agent, if you're not the listing agent, is doing all the things that they're supposed to do to make sure that you have a successful open house. A lot of listing agents don't want to do open houses. And it's only because they realize in order to do it right, you have to work. And they don't want to do that. So they'd rather have somebody else get the business. All right. Don't let anybody say that they want part of your money on any lead that you get there, because that's BS. All right. This should be your leads because you're putting the time and the effort into it. So the very first thing is, on day one, the very first thing that you want to do is you want to pick out a property that you want to bet, and then you want to look at the location, okay? And then you want to talk to the agent and say, okay, I'd like to show this and have as an open house either Saturday or Sunday. So that gives you 6 to 7 days away, or 5 to 6 days to get this done before you're actually into the open house. All right. So you've done that, and you might also reach out to a vendor, because having somebody else that might help you advertise this would be a great thing. So my suggestion would be find a home inspector that wants to do it with you, find a title company that wants to be there with you, or find a lender that wants to be with you, because all those people will try to advertise it for you to all their people too, giving you a brighter net to throw, okay? So that's about what you're going to do, and you want to study the area. You want to find out any of the local attractions, any of the amenities to the area. If it is an HOA, you want to find out all the things about that, so that you have that onto a fact sheet that you can give out to each person that comes to the house. So then it comes down to day 2. After you've set up your open house, you've got to go to day 2, and what the very first thing you want to do is you want to have talked to the real estate agent that has the listing and ask for a tour of the home. This is more for other things than just touring the home, okay? Because you want to find out what kind of Wi-Fi access they have. And some owners will give you their Wi-Fi password, most will not. So if you don't have a mobile hotspot and you've got a bad signal, then you're probably not going to be able to do a whole lot of video on that thing, unless you do it on your phone and then transfer it to be uploaded to another program. So do a video when you go out to the property and do the tour. Take the fact sheet with you. The MLS fact sheet is plenty enough to be able to give you enough information. And then talk about the property, talk about the amenities, talk about the location, talk about the close proximity to attractions, anything you possibly can in that video. All right. Once you've done that with all the highlights, that you also are making sure that the owner knows that you're doing the open house, and the agent has already put it into the MLS as being an open house for either Saturday or Sunday. The sooner they get it out there, the more often it's going to get into Zillow and into Realtor.com that there's an open house coming in. If they wait, like some people do, until Friday or Saturday to make it that they're going to have an open house, you get no traction from it, and you get nobody that's going to be coming to it other than who you personally attract, okay? Make sure that the listing agent is promoting it as an open house, and you're going to do the same thing. All right, so on On the third day, which normally would be like a Wednesday, you're going to drive out to the house again, and you're going to check all the routes. You're going to have about 20 flyers with you, 25 flyers, something like that with you. And what you're going to do in that instance is, if you're allowed to go around and solicit the homes around the house, then you want to hit the 5 houses to the right, the 5 houses to the left, and you also want to hit the 5 houses behind that house and the 5 houses across the street from the house. And it doesn't matter if they're 6 blocks away before you find another house. You want to visit each one of those homes, and you want to invite those people to the open house and ask them if they know anyone that may be interested in buying, selling, building, or investing in real estate, and you would love to have them come by. And tell them another thing. We'd like for you to come by to see what these folks have done to their home. Maybe it might give you a few ideas for you as well in your remodel or in your update to your house, because they've done some nice things if they have. All right. So you want, at that same time on that Wednesday, you want to put out all your open house signs, and you want a minimum of 7 to 10 signs. So if you don't have those, make sure you go out and buy them and get them. Now, I know the office has some of those signs, but you can't depend on those all the time because you don't know how many other people are going to be doing open houses. So my suggestion is go down to the board. I bought 6 the other day, and it was like $43.70. It's well worth it to have them on hand. These happen to have a pointer on them, look like a house, and said open house Saturday, and I put in the time that I was going to do my open house. Make sure that you have those out on every route to come into the house. I can remember a time when I did an open house, and I only went to one route, and I did all the places along that route to get them into the house. Guess what? That was the slowest route. There were very few people going up that route. So the next week, I redid the open house, and there were 4 routes that would come into that house. And I peppered all 4 routes with open house signs. That ended up being about 25 signs I put out for that open house. But instead of having 2 people come into my open house, which I had before, I had 20 people come in the following weekend. Now, this was back in 2011, 2012, when the market was coming back to being more of a progressive market. So that did not hurt it. We are in a time frame now with it being August that people are more concerned about getting their kids back into school than they are looking at a house. They're finishing up any vacations that they have, because some kids go farther into the month of August before they go back to school. So you will have some slowdown on that. And with interest rates peaking a little bit more, and with insurance down here being a big question mark at times, that can also slow people from coming out to see houses. Make sure that you get those signs up. And if you're in a gated community, you're not going to be able to do that. However, you might be able to put an open house sign out in front of the community on public property, so that it's not on the property of that particular gated community. If you're going to be doing houses in a gated community, there's another route for you to do, and you can do this on one that does not have a gated community as well. Go to the local gas stations around the place within a half a mile. Ask them if you can put up a flyer. Take you a roll of tape and some colored flyers. Just make sure that you have a notepad so you can mark down where you put these up. Because if they see you come in and put the poster up and they approve it, and then you go in and let them know that you're taking it back down, you will have a better chance the next time to be able to put it up again. Also, if you're in a gated community, I would highly recommend that you go to the clubhouse and put one up in the clubhouse that you're having that. All right. If they have an HOA, you want to send out a notification to the HOA that you're having an open house, and see if the HOA will put that out to all of its people within the HOA. That's also another way for you to do that. You want to print out those flyers, and the best way for you to get those flyers, the easiest way for you to do is go to listreports.com. This is one of the only places that you can go and make up a open house flyer or a promotional flyer on a property that you do not have listed. You have to have permission to do it. And if you have already asked the agent if you can run an open house there and they've said yes, then you have permission to do it. All right. So make sure you print out those. You also want to print out one of the demographics forms that they have for list reports on the property, so you can find the distance to the local, the fastest medical place, how many restaurants and what kind of restaurants, what the price points are on the restaurants, that sort of thing. So you have all that on hand as well. All right. So the last thing on the day 3 is make sure, I'll just emphasize again, that you take notes. And if somebody says, I have a friend, and they don't want to give you the information, you're going to want to note that they have a friend and you want to contact them again later in the week before the open house. All right. So on day 4, you want to run reports on all the active, the pending, and solds, and print out a copy of that. All right. And you only want to use the last 90 days, because if we're looking at the way we're doing right now, the market changed on May 1st. So if you were doing it before now, you would have probably done 90 days. But now that the market has changed and it's softened a little bit, so we're not getting as many sales, you may want to do it just for the last 90 days. So that would be May, June, July, and August of what we've got so far. Okay. Check on any availability of any actives that are in the area that match up pretty close to the property that you're going to be showing. And I want you to do an RPR CMA on the property, okay, that you're having an open house, so that you have that. These will be items that you're not going to freely give to people, but you will have there for them to look at. All right. For your open house, you want to print out another 15 flyers. Now, I highly recommend that you don't put the price on the flyer, because if you're going to do it the next week and they lower the price, then you've got to redo all your flyers. So have the price with you, know what the price is, and do not put the price on there. Print out a sign-up sheet and make sure that you have your spouse, significant other, a friend, a stranger. Write something in on the top line the way you want it filled out, with a name, an email address, a phone number, and know, okay, that they do not have an agent. Okay, and it's a simple form. Just do it that way. There is another program that you can use. It's called Open House Pro or Open Home Pro. You can get it for your tablet and also for your laptop. So if you want to do a program rather than doing a sign-in sheet, you can actually have them sign in online, and it will put it in where you can export it out for your database from there without having to retype everything. So that's always a good thing. I think the cost on that is about $40, maybe $49, but it's a real good program. But you have to do all this stuff in advance, okay? All right, so get snacks for the open house. And look, I go to Sam's Club and I buy Bob's Mints. It's a big container of them. They'll last forever, and they're individually wrapped. You'll want to take a trash can with you so that you can have a place for the wrappers. Just get one of the small ones. You can pick one up for $1 at Dollar General or Dollar Tree or wherever that you go. You can do chocolate chip cookies if you want. If you have an owner there, they can bake up some chocolate chip cookies. Go get them a roll of the Pillsbury Doughboy chocolate chip cookie mix and ask them if they will make those up, or ask them for permission for you to come in about an hour and a half early the day of the open house, so you can get the house smelling like the chocolate chip cookies. If you want a cheater item, you can go get Chips Ahoy at the grocery store and put those on a plate and hide the bag, and then get a small scented candle that smells like chocolate chip cookies, and that'll do the same thing, because you're wanting to get that homey feeling inside that house. All right. For higher end homes, I have done frozen chocolate eclairs and cream puffs. I've also taken fresh strawberries, especially when they're really in good season, and I've dipped those in melted chocolate and put those on a plate, and those go over well. Just remember, you have to have a serving tray, you have to have napkins, you have to have toothpicks, the whole 9 yards to make sure that everybody stays healthy and is not just reaching in and grabbing for stuff. Then we're going to day 5, and on day 5, anything that has not been done at this point needs to be done at this time. And usually on day 4, you're also promoting out to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Google blog, and blog on Google. Also do about the home and add that video again out there. Put it up on your website and put it out everywhere that you possibly can. At the same time, you're going to go to any groups that you belong to. And if you don't belong to groups, you need to belong to some groups that talk specifically about real estate and happenings in the area that you're doing the open house. So do those on day 4. Anything that you don't get done on day 4, do it over on day 5. That's putting us into Friday, so we want to make sure that we've got that. At this point, because we are down here in the South, what I would suggest is that you get one of those 48-pack bottles of the small bottles of water. Now, you can tape your business card to each one of those if you want, but guess what? All they're going to do is drink it and throw it away. So don't waste your business cards doing that. Now, if you want to go out and with list reports, you can actually order labels that you can buy to put on your bottles. You're more than welcome to do that. I don't think that it makes that much of a difference. I think your presence and what you're going to be saying about the house is more important than anything else, especially if you're telling about this house and other similar houses in the area. Not only the ones that have sold, but the ones that are now pending and the ones that are now currently on the market. Compare them to what you are actually showing as far as the open house. Make sure they know that. But get those bottles of water in the refrigerator, get them chilling so that you can have those ready, okay? On day 6, which is that Saturday, usually Saturday, it may be the day that you're going to do the open house, but what you want to do before your open house is you want to contact each one of those, either going back by the house, or if you got their phone number when you were talking to them, you want to call each one of those people that said they may know somebody that want to buy this house, okay? Because you want them to know that you want them to be able to help pick their own neighbors. So do that. Get your open house kit put together and in your car. Now, there's a lot to be on that open house kit, okay? Because you're going to have pinwheels. I used to do the helium balloons, and they were always good, except when it rained, or when it got cooler, or when it got super hot. Because if they got super hot, it heated the helium up, and they'd either pop or go to the ground. In rain, those helium balloons will automatically go to the ground because the water cools them off and allows them to sit on the ground. That doesn't do you any good. However, if you go to Dollar General or Dollar Tree or someplace like that, and you pick up those mini pinwheels, okay, that's all you got to get is those mini pinwheels, and put a couple out by side each one of your signs that you have open house on, and use those, because you can reuse those over and over and over again. Now, the only thing I've had was I was in a real busy, very young community, and the mothers were walking their children down the street, and the kids would pick up the pinwheels and keep on walking with my pinwheels. So sometimes that does happen, but don't worry about it. You can get more of those, and at $1.25, it's a very small amount to do. Now, the other good thing about the helium balloons, if you do want to use those, get the ones at Dollar Tree or Dollar General, because what you can do with those is you can refill those. If you look, there's a stem right in the balloon, and you can buy a helium balloon kit at Office Depot or Office Max or Staples for about $15, $18. And that's enough to fill up about 25 balloons. So you might be able to do that and just refill each balloon again so that you have enough helium in them. So that's another avenue for you to be sure to do. get your on the day 6, you want to post that video one more time, letting them know, okay? And then I usually do my open houses on Sunday. This past week I did one on Saturday, and I got a couple of people in, but it wasn't much, okay? Make sure that on open house day that you've told that the owners, if it is a occupied home, that you will be there 30 minutes prior to the open house. And then make sure that you walk through the entire house and get every single light turned on. Take all the blinds and put them up to the top or someplace in the top so you get plenty of light coming in, and open them up. Make sure that you have them open and all of them at the same level. If you put them all the way at the top or you leave them all the way at the bottom, make sure they're open and make sure all of them are the same. The other thing that people forget about is putting the toilet seat down. Make sure that all the toilet seats are down. And also, to make the bathrooms look bigger that have a tub with a shower curtain in front of it, open the shower curtain up. Make sure there's not a whole bunch of stuff in the back of it. And open the shower curtain up, and so that people see how much bigger that the room is. Because if you've looked into a bathroom that had a shower curtain up, I guarantee you thought it was a little claustrophobic for being a small bath. All right. Make sure that you bring along thank you cards for anybody that might leave you an address or that you get an address off of, or a telephone number from the property. And make sure that you do a live stream on Facebook if you have plenty of Wi-Fi there. Make sure you do a live stream from there saying that you're having the open house starting at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or whatever time that you are. Best times I've found for Sunday open houses is anywhere from 1 until about 5 because people are getting out of church or their synagogue or wherever they've gone for their worship services. Around noon, 11:30 noon, they go out to lunch. They finish up lunch between 1 and 1:30. And if they're going to look at houses, that's when they're going to be coming out. Make sure that the house has music on. If you don't have music, take your computer and put on some music. Make it light, easy listening, not hard rock banger music unless that's just exactly what you like and that's what you want to listen to. But make sure you got candles and cookies and all the things set up. And when each person comes in, either have your partner who is there with you to help them get signed in so you can be walking around talking to people about the house, or make sure that you meet each person, okay? Because you want to talk to every single couple that comes in the house. 2 types of candles for you to use in the house would be one that might taste or smell like chocolate chip cookies, and the other one might be like cinnamon or a holiday, smell. You might want to get something like that so that you can get that smell into the house. Make sure right after you finish it up that you turn out all the lights that were off when you first came in the house. Make sure you put everything back the way it was. Leave a nice little note for the owners if it's occupied, and thank them for allowing you to do the open house. Then send a note to the agent that allowed you to do the open house with just basic information. We had this many couples. They came in at this time of day. These were their comments, and thank you, may I do another open house for you? Okay? Because like Saturday, I picked up 2 people. Both of them were almost like looky-loos, but I have been in touch with them since because they both left me telephone numbers. I couldn't read their email addresses, so there's another way for me to get that information. So you do that. Make sure that you send out the postcards or handwritten cards or emails or text messages if you only have a phone number to those telephone numbers, thanking them for dropping by the open house. If they have an agent and you see it on the sheet before they leave, ask them who the agent is and mark it down on the sheet. Then after the open house, call that agent up and let them know that one of their people, and give the name to them, drop by the open house to make sure that they are aware that their people are out looking at open houses. All right. A special note, if you are doing an open house on a brand new home that is unfurnished, there's a couple of things that you want to make sure that you have with you. The number one thing that you want is a roll of toilet paper, because you never know when you're stuck in one of those houses, and you want to make sure that the water is on too. And if the water isn't on, then you want to take 2 1-gallon containers of purified water or distilled water, either one, so that if you need to flush a toilet, that you can. Because I have had people come into a home that was a brand new home and automatically have 3 children with them that all have to go to the bathroom. And if you've ever had those type of people, raise your hand, because we've all had that type of person that comes in. And if there's no water in the toilet and there's no place for them to flush it, then you need to be able to flush it out so that you don't have that smell in the house for the next person that's going to be visiting this home. The other thing that you want to do is I would highly recommend bringing a table, a folding table, and 4 chairs. That way, if somebody comes in, they want to sit down, they want to talk about the house, or if your vendor is a lender, maybe they can do some pre-qual letters for you right there on the spot and help you out. Once the open house is done, remember, pick up all your signs. And if anybody expressed interest in going to see any of those other active listings, make sure you have those set up so that you can show them immediately following or within 45 minutes of you finishing up the open house. On Monday, you want to follow up with every single one of the open house people that came in. And you want to continue to follow up with those people until they tell you to leave them alone or they buy a house. I hope that this video has helped a little bit in helping you get situated so you know which way to go with an open house. It doesn't work on every single one of them, but I can tell you from past experiences, 9 out of 10 of my open houses are more successful when I follow these general guidelines. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope to talk to you all soon. Have a great afternoon. Bye now.